The American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Student debt is crushing the American dream for millions of students and college graduates.
It's this thing that eventually you'll have to kind of face, but until then, you kind of pretend it doesn't exist, because if you did, then it's a bit daunting.
Vast majority of youth are unable to pay for college right off the bat unless you have rich parents.
For the first time in the U.S., total student debt has surpassed $1 trillion, now more than the nation's credit card debt. This as unemployment amongst college graduates is at an all-time high. President Obama recently announced his plan to ease student loan debt.
We're going to make it easier for you to have one payment a month at a better interest rate. And this won't cost taxpayers a dime, but it will save you money and it will save you time.
But his plan won't help millions of Americans already drowning in debt, and it excludes private loans, which is where many students run into trouble due to their high interest rates. MoveOn.org launched a petition to eliminate student debt, which has garnered over 647,000 signatures.
If you put more money into the hands of people, they're going to spend it, and that will create demand, it'll create economic growth, and it will create jobs.
Robert Applebaum says bailing out students rather than banks will stimulate the economy by putting more cash in the pockets of the educated middle class.
They're not starting businesses. They're not buying cars. They're not buying houses. They're not starting families. They're not having children.
In other developed countries, getting a financial education isn't such a financial burden.
You have free tuition in France and Denmark and Sweden and Finland. They don't pay anything at public universities.
And when they do pay, the price tag isn't as shocking as it is in the U.S.
21 countries in Europe for which we have data, there's only 4 who have tuition more than $1,200.
Compare that to an average of over $8,000 for public and over $28,000 for private U.S. colleges. Many cost much more.
The average schools are charging $35,000 to $45,000 a year. And myself personally, I work at 2 universities, and I net about $28,000 a year.
And it's not getting any better. Over the past 2 decades, tuition has skyrocketed over 400%. This year alone, the cost of college shot up over 8%. Occupy Wall Street protesters camped out here and across the nation say this is yet another example of rising inequality, with millions shackled to college debt for years and in many cases decades. In Washington, Liz Wall, RT.